This morning, she'd thought she was getting married and headed to Turks and Caicos on her honeymoon. Now she was in her cousin's plane with a man she'd had a crush on since she'd first seen him on the television screen when watching the Thunder play on Sundays. Then she'd met Dex Sterling in person. At her brother's New Year's Eve party for his team and their families, she and Dex had shared a long evening of conversation, and then a kiss that had ruined her for all other men. Nobody could compete with Dex and the way he'd completely possessed her. With one arm around her waist holding her tight, she'd felt his physical strength against her much smaller frame. And with his talented mouth, he devoured her until her entire body was aroused, even parts she'd never been aware of before.
Dex did his best not to bang his head on his steering wheel, as it was only a matter of time before Ian started blowing up his phone and asking what the fuck Dex was doing with his sister. It wouldn't be the first time either. Dex met Samantha at a New Year's Eve team and family party. He recalled mistletoe and the hottest kiss he'd ever experienced, one that had been so explosive he'd almost forgotten where they were and why. And when he'd come up for air, Ian was glaring at him. With one shake of his head, Samantha's oldest brother and Dex's boss at the time had cut off any possibility of him pursuing the sexy, smart woman he'd been talking to all night, the first female to ever intrigue him with her intelligence and amuse him with her wit. He'd never felt an attraction like it before or since. But he also knew Samantha wasn't the kind of girl you picked up for a one-night stand, and not just because if he went near her, Ian Dare could make his life miserable and his career difficult. Dex hadn't been at the point in his life where a relationship was feasible. He'd been football-focused and hadn't wanted any distractions. He'd had goals and dreams, and looking back, he'd accomplished them. In truth, he wasn't sure how he even thought about the institution of marriage. While Alex and Gloria, his adopted parents, had a wonderful marriage until her murder, not something he wanted to think about now. His birth parents had spent their lives arguing, which was why the Sterling house had been his escape.
"Dex, can you take me to the airport?"
she asked again, interrupting his trip into the past and focusing him squarely in the here and now. He ran a hand through his hair. Could he take her to Teterboro and drop her off to spend however many days alone on an island after such a traumatic experience? Yes to the former, no to the latter. "Want company?" he asked. "Because I'm not dropping you off to be on your own when you're so upset," he said, knowing Samantha was somehow going to change the course of his life. She looked up at him, through thick lashes and tear-stained makeup.
"You do that? Fly to the Bahamas at the last minute? We barely know each other. Of course, there was that kiss."
Her cheeks turned pink at the mention of their shared memory. "There was," he said, wanting her to know he recalled it as well. "But to answer your question, yes, I'd do that for you."
"Then I'd really appreciate it. But can I ask, why?"
He let out a pained sigh. "I have a sister, and if my friend found Fallon in the same position I discovered you in, I'd hope they'd do the same thing and make sure she was okay. And keep their hands off his vulnerable sister. Dex would also punch his well-meaning friend once he saw him again, just in case he'd had the same wayward thoughts Dex now had about Samantha, and he expected no less of Ian Dare. But even though Dex would never take advantage of a vulnerable woman, he couldn't deny he'd always wanted a chance with Samantha. That chance just wouldn't be now.